Hey guys, this is my review on the Nothing Ear 1 Bluetooth earphones. I've been using these basically every day for over 2 weeks now, so I pretty much feel like I have an opinion and my thoughts all set on this. If you guys want to see the unboxing video, I also made that. It's also on my channel, so you can go check that out if you want. And just a little update for you guys who watched my first video. I did end up getting that $20 refund that Nothing promised to send out. So in total, I paid $79 for these earphones. Okay, so I guess I'll first talk about the design and the build quality. And in terms of that, I have no complaints. The case and the earbuds have this transparent design, which is kind of what makes them special because a lot of people, including me, love this kind of transparent looking design. The first couple of days I had these, I just kept looking at them even though I wasn't even using them. And today, I still just like to twirl the case around like this in my hands, kind of like fidgeting with them. So I know they kind of marketed that with this thing. I'm pretty sure this dimple here is actually supposed to hold them in place, but your hands just kind of naturally just start spinning this thing around. So I really like how they added this indent over here. The case is pretty solid. I also have no complaints with that. After the first 2 weeks though, the case does have a little bit of scratches, which you can see here in certain angles of light. And all this has been was just been going in and out of my backpack, and it still managed to get these scratches. Now they're not that apparent in person, but in certain angles of light, like you see here, there are tiny bits of scratches that are starting to build up. Maybe over the course of a year or two, these might get covered in scratches, and at that point I feel like it might make the design a little more opaque and less transparent, but only time will tell. On the right side here, you see that there's a Type-C charging port and also a pair button. Now, I've never used this Type-C charging port because I always just do the wireless charging, which works just fine. But it is there in case you would like to charge with the cable. And the pair button, I haven't actually used it up until like a few days ago. Because when you first get these earphones and you open up the case, it will automatically prompt, it will automatically try to pair with a nearby device. So when I first opened up this case, a thing automatically popped up on my phone and told me that these were trying to pair, and I've been doing that ever since. The first pairing process is very seamless, I would say. Now let's open it up and get to the actual earbuds themselves. You can see here that the earbuds themselves are very neatly designed, and there's no glue or residue that you can see on the stem, or even the seams where the case is kind of molded together. The red dot is for the right earbud and the white dot is for the left. The earbuds also have touch controls like double tap to play pause, triple tap to skip the track, and in order to increase or decrease volume, you have to swipe your finger up and down the stem like that. When I was using these at work, in general, the touch controls worked okay, but sometimes you wouldn't really know where the earbud is exactly when it's in your ear. So sometimes I would miss and hit around my ear while I'm trying to tap this part right here where the touch controls are. But overall, touch controls are okay. Now I'm going to talk about the comfort, and I found them to be comfortable, but only for short listening periods. So these go in the ear very easily, and they're also very light, so they fit snug and they don't move around. You can definitely go running and jogging or exercise with these, and they will fit snug. But I did notice with mine that when I run with these in, the earphones kind of pick up a windy noise, or the microphones pick up the wind. But back to the comfort, I can only really listen to these for about 2 to 3 hours at a time because these start to get uncomfortable and my ears start to get really sore. The main problem is that this big white part, the actual bud where the drivers are located, it's a little bit too big and bulky. And you can see it's not really like ergonomically shaped. It's kind of like a big oval. And I thought I would get used to it, but it hasn't really happened yet. Now let's just talk about like the overall experience and the usability of these earbuds. The battery life I found to be about 4 hours on max noise cancellation and about 6 to 7 hours with noise cancellation off. However, I would always recommend you to use these on max noise cancellation mode because it helps block out all the ambient noise and it helps you listen to your music a lot better. Especially because this design doesn't really provide much noise isolation on its own. The Bluetooth range I also found to be pretty good actually. They advertise 33 feet on their website, and I have walked definitely over 30 feet away from these, and I haven't experienced any cutting or jittering in the sound or the music that's playing. Haven't tested the maximum distance I could walk before I start to have these cut off, but definitely pretty strong Bluetooth range, and over 30 feet should be no problem for you guys. In terms of bugs, of course, if you guys have been reading Reddit and all of that, and even some reviews, you probably heard a lot about bugs and glitches with these earphones, or even earphones that are coming dead on arrival. Luckily, I haven't really experienced anything major with mine, and I did get a good working pair, but it did get buggy a few times. So over the course of 2 weeks, this happened about 2 or 3 times, where sometimes one of the earbuds won't connect when I take them out of the case. So at first it was the left one that wasn't working, and then the other time it was the right earbud that wasn't working. Now this doesn't happen that often, and it's always been a really easy fix. All I did was just put them back into the case like that so that they turn off, and then I would just take them back out. And then at the second time, it worked just fine. So, haven't really had any real issues with these yet. Now, one of the things I really like about these earphones is just how fast it connects to my phone. It takes about 1.5 seconds to connect to your phone. This is great because every time I am at work and I want to quickly listen to some music, I can just take these out of the case and they are always ready to go. So here is the Nothing app. Let me just turn on the... Now I will take these out and we'll watch how fast it connects. Boom. Very fast. So one of the greatest features I would say to be found on these earbuds. What's also really good is whenever I'm listening to music and I need to talk to coworkers, because this happens a lot where I work, I can just take one earbud out and then the music automatically stops and the earbuds go into transparency mode. So then I can easily hear the people around me and talk with them. Then when I plop the earbud back in, the noise cancellation kicks back on and the music starts playing. So overall, very convenient in a work environment like mine, where I have to talk to coworkers from time to time, and it makes the whole experience a lot more seamless. At first, I was also wondering how people were getting their case battery to show up on the app, and it's because you just need to put the earbuds back into the case and leave the case open. And then you can see here, it shows the case on the app. Mine is at 90%. There's also 2 levels of noise cancellation, but I didn't really notice much of a difference between the 2. Only that the max noise cancellation cuts out a little bit more of a hum and the background noise. In terms of the noise cancellation, I found that it works pretty good for most environments and it does its job, but it's also not the strongest noise cancellation as you would expect at this price. The noise cancellation mainly just cuts out low frequency noises, but it doesn't do very well cutting out high frequency noises. So I noticed this especially at work with all the keyboard clicking and even just sounds like opening and closing this earbud case. The Nothing Ear ones don't really cut that out at all. And even upstairs, when I use these in my room, I can hear all the way downstairs when someone is cooking something using the frying pan, and you can hear the sizzling noise pretty clearly, even on the second floor. So it doesn't do a really good job cutting out high frequency noise. And also when I'm gaming especially, these earphones don't really do a good job cutting out fan noise. So if you have like a laptop, especially with a high-pitched whine to it, you're going to hear that with these earbuds. And also just a side note that the volume on my pair of earphones is like abnormally loud. I always listen to these on either the lowest or the second lowest volume setting, and it's already plenty loud enough for me. I'm not sure if this is just something to do with my pair or if it has to do with Android, but I do wish mine were actually a little bit more quiet. Okay, so finally I'm going to talk about the sound quality. And overall, I think these are pretty good. And I think most people will enjoy them with the kind of tuning that they have. They are slightly V-shaped, and most of the emphasis is in the bass, which is kind of expected with these kind of noise cancellation earbuds for like the mass public. The bass is also one of my biggest problems with the sound quality because I found that it is way too hot and overpowering, and sometimes I just straight up get annoyed with how much bass is in these. The bass kind of seems too overpowering and uncontrolled. When it comes to lower frequencies, it starts to boom like crazy. Like you can feel these things vibrating, and it kind of makes certain genres like EDM or even like hip hop or rap kind of very difficult to listen to. Another thing is that with these, the soundstage is very narrow and it feels like there's no space or depth to the sound. Everything sounds kind of two-dimensional and flat, like it's pushed right next to my ears. To try to explain this, I have this diagram right here. So for example, if this center part was me, it sounds like the music would be playing right next to my ears. And combined with the bass, it kind of makes it sound congested. So there's no space to breathe with these, and everything feels really tight. Now, in contrast, when I use my FiiO FA9 in-ear monitors, the soundstage is much, much wider, and it's actually a breath of fresh air because it feels like there's so much more space and depth. Everything sounds a lot more open and natural, whereas with the Nothing Ear ones, it kind of sounds artificial. So say, for example, listening to these as like two speakers next to me, listening to something that sounds a lot more natural, it would actually feel like there are instruments playing in a given set of space. Now, I know that this isn't really a fair comparison because these aren't really meant to be compared, of course, but it's mainly just for context to try to explain what the Nothing Ear ones sound like. But how I mentioned before, like how everything is kind of two-dimensional and pushed up front, it also has a kind of a positive aspect to it, and that you can hear a lot more small details that would otherwise be normally harder to pick out. So smaller details in the song that I would usually kind of not notice, I would pick out with these earbuds. That's mainly good because you hear a lot of smaller details in the song that usually go unnoticed with other types of earphones or headphones. But I will say that is also a slight downside because some details that were meant to be pushed further back in the mix are all of a sudden all brought forward. So it kind of makes the whole synergy and the balance of the track a little bit off. It's still behind other things like my WH-1000XM4s, for example, the FA9, and even like the $40 to $50 KZ ZS10 Pros. Again, these aren't really you know, they're not fair comparisons, but it's just for context of where I would place these earphones compared to my other ones. Now, with all that said though, I generally really like the sound that comes out of these earbuds. It's V-shaped, so it's fun and engaging, and it brings a lot of detail in the music that is usually unnoticed. Everything sounds decently crisp and clean, but the bass is just the biggest problem for me. But if you guys like bass, I think you will enjoy these. But I honestly think these are one of the most bass-heavy earphones I have ever tried. Now, here's the main thing when it comes to the recommendation. I don't think most people will be buying these purely based on sound quality, but mainly just a feature-rich earbud that is relatively inexpensive, and that's certainly the case for me. I already have other headphones and earphones that I know will sound better than these, but I still bought these for the convenience, the noise cancellation, and the ease of use while I'm out and about, like working or doing exercise. So as a whole package, I would say that these are a pretty good buy, and I'm really glad that I picked these up, especially for the $79 that I paid for it. At $100, I would still say these are a good buy, but I probably wouldn't go over that, especially with the prices that people are reselling these for on eBay. The scalpers, which are selling it for like $200 and up, they're not worth it at that price. So pretty good earphones overall. If you buy, just hope that you get a decent working pair. So that's it. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.